we go into the summer months, a lot of producers are starting to think about spraying pastures for weed problems. But before you do that, you might want to consider what plants you're targeting and other plants that you might not want to kill with herbicides that are important for wildlife and or cattle production. One of these plants is ragweed, and there's several species in Oklahoma, including western ragweed, common ragweed, giant, and lanceleaf ragweed. All of these are really important wildlife plants. They produce a lot of seed that bobwhite quail, prairie chickens, and pheasants utilize. Also, white-tailed deer consume these plants, and cattle do for certain portions of the year, as they can have up to 26% crude protein. Another plant that's often sprayed for is annual broomweed. This plant can be really common or absent. This year on this pasture there's really not much broomweed, and last year it was exceedingly common. And a lot of producers get concerned when they see broomweed that's occupying a large percentage of their pasture. So if you have a drought year or you've grazed really heavy and you have a lot of bare ground, you're probably going to have a lot of broomweed the next year. So it's really tied to disturbance and the precipitation that you might have had. And it's not a strong competitor of grasses, so if you're spraying broomweed, you're probably not going to see any significant increase in grass production. Now, in contrast to the annual broomweed that we looked at just a minute ago, there are several long-lived perennial plants, those that live multiple years, that are also important for wildlife and for livestock production. One of which is the lead plant, which we're looking at here. This perennial can become almost shrub-like. It can get woody and quite large. It's highly desirable cattle forage, and it's also consumed by white-tailed deer. So if you're using broadcast herbicides, you're probably going to eliminate this plant from your pasture. It's a very important plant. Another one that you might want to be on the lookout for is called compass plant. And in this pasture, we don't see a lot of compass plant, but if you'll look just on the outside of the fence in the ditch, it's very common. This plant is highly palatable, which means livestock readily consume it. It's a very desirable plant. It's a long-lived perennial, but an extremely important cattle forage that is often eliminated with broad-scale herbicide application. So it's really important for you to learn your plants. There are definitely weed plants that you need to be targeting, like Cerisa lespedeza and also eastern red cedar. But a lot of these plants that get hit as non-targets are really important for livestock producers, and certainly important for a lot of wildlife species like bobwhite, white-tailed deer, and wild turkey. So I would recommend you find a good field guide. And a good guide to use would be the Field Guide to Oklahoma Plants that's produced by Oklahoma State University. And you can find a link to that on the SunUp website on how you can order that guide.